Welcome to the Freelance Thrive. Here we talk with skilled freelancers about their professional journey. Stay tuned for real-life experiences to learn and actionable steps to take to improve your freelancing career. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Bastian Gruber, passionate software engineer with tech lead, customer-facing system engineer, front-end and back-end experiences in multiple companies, from startups with 3 to 8 people to large-scale enterprises from up to 5,000 people, and published author of Rust web development book. So, welcome, Bastian.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Super happy to talk to you. And tell me, please, how did you discover Rust?
So the first time it was already in 2015. I saw a Mozilla meetup close to my first contracting role, and they had like a Rust meetup, and I thought, I'm interested in new programming languages. Let's give it a try. So I went there. It was pre 1.0, so I stopped, but then I saw it again at a meetup in Barcelona in 2018. And I thought, okay, I should really try to learn this language. It looks super nice.
What did you like the most about it?
I like that I could become a systems engineer without having to learn C or C++, which you have to know so many more caveats around the language. Whereas in Rust, it looked like that the compiler can help you like with these, and you can focus on the system and not on the programming language too much, so that you don't have to learn both.
Yeah, and you become such a big ambassador of Rust. So how many talks did you already have about Rust?
Good question. With interviews and podcasts and talks, maybe around 10. I would guess 10 talks and interviews. So an okay number.
You know, videos from your website, rustwebdevelopment.com, have thousands of views. So 25K, 5K, and even the Code Control Lunch and Learn session with you has almost 9,000 of views, even though, you know, we have far fewer subscribers on our channel. So tell me, how do you structure and optimize presentations the way that it becomes so popular?
I think like what I want is I'm aware of the programmer's times and the engineer's times, and I want that people who watch the whole thing should take at least 2 or 3 things out of this talk, and they can do it right after the talk. I want people to feel that it's not an advertisement, but I really want to show 2 or 3 things they didn't know before. So I want to aim it at a certain population, which I know well, and I know like what they might not know yet. So I can tell them this is like what you might not know yet. And I try to put it also in the title. So by scrolling through a list, they know, oh, this might be helpful to look at.
Do you collect questions before having talks?
I think it helps. So I run the Rust and Tell meetup in Berlin for 4 years now. So I'm quite aware what people struggle with. I read forums, blog posts, I sort of know. And from my own experience, I know what I struggled with. So I try to, because I know these types of struggles each year, I don't know, 10,000 new programmers who want to learn like Rust will struggle too. Sometimes I take the questions afterwards and then I think about them and put them into the next talk.
Do you repeat yourself in your talks, or you try to give always new piece of information every talk you have?
It's interesting. I think part of it is like a repetition. I feel bad about it because I think I just talked about it. So why would people want to listen to this stuff again? But the world is big. People might not listen to 2 talks of myself or from myself. But I really focus on the topic. If I find something interesting, I want to talk about it. I don't try to find sort of like an audience. I just want to talk about a topic, and then the audience comes by itself.
And even from Code Control experience, you definitely promote the content you make. So it's not only about platforms and places where you give them. So how do you promote it?
I guess, I mean, I'm not big on any social media platform. I try, but it's not my nature. Like, I'm not very good at it, or I guess I didn't learn how to be good at it yet. I tweet it out. I tell it in my freelance chats with people. I forward it if people have a question like around Rust. This comes in handy with the talks. If I'm sure I say something other people might find useful, I can give it as a, hey, here's a cheat sheet. This talk like might be helpful. And I publish it on LinkedIn, Twitter, just out there and see what comes back.
There is a small thing, but very crucial. If you share a link, do you share like the link to the whole conversation or to a concrete moment in a conversation where there is an answer to the question?
That's a good point. I've never done. I've done sharing from other talks where no, this is the answer, but never for myself and never for my own talks, because I don't find that my talks are so well spoken. So I rarely listen to my own talks after they're done. I never click at them. I never want to hear them again, because I'm sure I will find a million things I don't like about them. So no, I didn't do it yet.
So how do you improve your talks if you're not listening to them?
I think just by repetition. My last project or my last role was a solutions architect. So I talked with clients 5 hours each day. So I think it's just by repetition you get better. And I didn't try yet specifically to improve something. I guess as an actor, you would take vocal lessons, stage presence, and these types of things. And I'm curious about these, but I didn't do these types of courses yet in my private life.
By the way, you talked about clients. So does your talks bring you clients too?
No. It helps when I apply at new contracts or full-time like roles. I think it helps that people know, oh, this person has done a talk, it ticks the boxes, let's hear more about him. So it helps you to get in the door. But I never had a client approach me after they listened to a talk and asked me to do something.
And what professional and maybe personal benefits do you gain from those videos? And not only videos, just talks in general.
I think you learn about yourself within the long term. You seem more confident because you know about your faults. Like once you're out there, you get the feedback and it hurts. And after 10 times or 20 times, you already know your weak points. So then you're not afraid in a new contract negotiation. You know how much you know and where you stand. And this confidence in the end helps you to get even more contract, because it's all about social signaling. So if the other side thinks, oh, this person seems super confident, he must know something, so let's hire him. So it's just this, you just get out there and you do your personal, how you say, like improvements. But on a professional level, if you want to talk about something, you're gonna research it more. So then you learn about the topic much more in depth, which then you can use to write a blog post or like mention it in the next contract or in the next company because you've did it in the past. So I think it has like 3 or 4 really good points just by doing the talk. Even if like no one is going to watch the talk, you gained so much just in the process.
And how do you prepare for the talk?
I wish there is a structure. So I usually start in the middle. I really try to think, even if my talk is not good, if people don't understand me, but I don't want to seem like an idiot. So I want to make sure those 2 or 3 points people can take from them or like with them. And then I try from like the middle part, try to find an entrance who might want to watch or listen to this. And then I try to help them on board to the middle stage. So if I talk about like a web framework in Rust, I try to find out who might be curious about this. And then I maybe think, like maybe like an entry level Rust person who never saw the web, or like a Node.js like web dev. So I try to pick them up and I prepare slides for them to help them know like where we start to get to the core piece. And then I fade it out and I chip in links, helpful thoughts, practical tips from my day-to-day life, sort of stuff which covers 20% of, hey, like this would be nice to put on top.
Am I hearing it correct that you are preparing your talk for not only beginners, but for experts too?
Not yet experts. It's really hard in Rust because it's like such a wide field, and the expert in Rust, I don't know if it like exists because you can do like embedded programming, but you can do like web dev. So in one field, so I'm not experts. I try to put out more in the future for intermediate, but experts, I think it's a very niche market, which I can't cater to yet. And I don't think it's worth my time to help them teach some stuff, maybe in 10 years or in 20 years, but not now.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, like maybe it's not worth your time because
yeah.
And how much time does it take to prepare for a podcast, video, maybe even in person? So, and what is the difference between, for example, having video conversation and in-person talk?
So I never practiced the talk beforehand. I maybe talk it through once in my head, which you shouldn't do. Like that's not a good tip. But I don't do it. But it can take sometimes a month. I did this one tutorial talk and I played around like with the code base for a month. And then 1 week prior, I knew I want to give this talk because it was a filler, because one speaker dropped off like the list of the meetup. So I thought, okay, I want to do this. And then I probably spent 2-3 hours each night trying to think, how can I guide them through this without like wasting their time or telling too much or too less. So it can take quite a bit of time, maybe like a month each night, a bit, to figure out like what you actually want to say.
And how do you understand when it's too much or just enough or too less? Like, how do you feel this difference?
So I think, I always just talk about to an audience I know well, or I know I have been in their shoes. So I know like what I might have found helpful 1 or 2 years ago. So each time I grow, each year, I try to talk to my past self in the past year and try to help this person to achieve like where I'm now. So I know, hey, like this might not be helpful because I've never found it helpful. I probably could do more research around this stuff, but I usually try to, I don't know, gut feeling. I'm in the industry now for 10 or 15 years, so my gut feeling is usually about right in these types of things. So I just trust my gut. If I feel good about it, I just go for it.
Do you have an imposter syndrome?
Yeah, like huge. Each
How do you
time I
deal with
start a
it?
talk, it's it's super hard because you have to not to care. And this is probably also why I don't like watch the talk. Because each time I give a talk, I know I have 20 past colleagues who would watch the talk and think, oh, this person doesn't know like what they are talking about. And I know they're partly right, but there are also like 1,000 people who are not at the point where I am now. So now I'm feeling more comfortable. I'm easing in by saying there are always more senior people and always more junior people. I always want to help the junior people, and I want to gain new skills from the more senior people. And I just accept them somewhere in the middle. And where exactly I am, I don't care anymore. If it pays the bills and the food, it's fine. But I don't try to be an expert.
And what would be the one advice you would give to somebody who's also senior expert, but have never done a talk and would like to do it?
Pick an audience you're not intimidated by. Don't try to cater to your colleague of 20 years, because at this point it's really hard. Try to help a person who is really into programming, like maybe, and has 2 or 3 years of experience. So, and give them practical tips. Then you can't be wrong. If you say this web framework is better than this, you are always half wrong. But if you tell them, I struggled like with this in my past project, this is how I solved it, you help 10,000 people, you feel good about yourself, they feel good, and then you can ease into this role of giving talks.
And great advice. I will even use it by myself for community building. So, Bastian, I wish to have the sky as the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So the final question, what is your favorite food?
I think it might be tacos. Tacos. I like tacos.
Some concrete taco brand or just in general?
Just in general. I like the mixing different meats or non-meats into dough.
Got it. So, Bastian, thank you very much for sharing your experience, and it's been such a pleasure to hear and learn from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friend. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.